Good evening, everyone. Chris Profi, Musically Obsessed. Don't worry, I washed my hands. I used hand sanitizer, so I am not going to spread any germs whilst, is that a word? Whilst I touch the CDs. Yeah, because tonight I'm doing CDs. And also tonight I want to talk about folk music. Folk music. Now, specifically, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Now, I do not have everything that Peter, Paul, and Mary released, but I do have quite a bit of Peter, Paul, and Mary, including their solo albums. I believe it was Barnes & Noble came out with a exclusive of the 3 solo albums together. Unfortunately, that's in my storage bins right now, so I can't show you that, but I will show you everything else that I have. Now, most of us, I would assume, know who Peter, Paul, and Mary are. I mean, like, one of the most famous folk trios of all time. Beautiful voices, beautiful songwriters, beautiful singers, beautiful harmonies. How was I exposed to Peter, Paul, and Mary? Well, through my parents. I remember my parents had a few Peter, Paul, and Mary albums, that they picked up when they were younger, and they listened to them through my childhood. And so I remember hearing those songs, and I think that they were embedded into my consciousness. And, until I admitted to myself that, you know what? I like Peter, Paul, and Mary, and I am not going to apologize for that. Just a great trio. So let me show you what I have here. Again, I do not have everything. As I say in a lot of my videos, I am not a Peter, Paul, and Mary expert. I can just show you what I have and the songs that I really like by them. So, in 1962, they came out with an album called Peter, Paul, and Mary. I don't believe that any of these CDs have been remastered at all. This is one of the albums that my parents still have, I believe. And they actually spin vinyl as well. I love Early in the Morning, 500 Miles, This Train, If I Had My Way, Lemon Tree is awesome, If I Had a Hammer, Where Have All the Flowers Gone? I mean, if that song doesn't do anything for you, then there's something wrong with you. So listen to Where Have All the Flowers Gone. Beautiful song. This is what I'm watching myself in the camera. Should I be standing? I know a lot of people are standing now. Like Logan Archer Mounts is standing, and Mazzy's always standing, and Mike over at Jam on Vinyl, he was standing. I feel like I'm lazy sitting here. Should I be standing? I don't know. Maybe the next video I will. Oh, next. This also came out in 1962. Peter, Paul, and Mary, Moving. Love that it's in parentheses, too. My parents had this album as well. Basic CD. I love Flora on here. Oh, Puff the Magic Dragon is on here. Who doesn't like Puff the Magic Dragon? Is it about drugs? I don't know. Is it about dragons? I don't know. This Land Is Your Land. Classic. Old Coat, Tiny Sparrow, Big Boat, Morning Train. Just another great song. Look how pretty Mary was there. Just a good looking trio. And man, could those guys play guitar. Woo! All right, next. This came out in 1963. Peter, Paul, and Mary in the Wind. My parents had this as well. I like Very Last Day on here. Tell It on the Mountain. Stew Ball Wow. Stu Ball was a racehorse. He was, and that's a great song. All My Trials, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, Freight Train, and the classic Blowin' in the Wind. I think Blowin' in the Wind was about the coronavirus, actually. Isn't that why Bob Dylan wrote that? Next. Oh, yeah, my eyes are old. I can't read this. 1965, maybe? My parents did not have this album, A Song Will Rise, but I have it. And I like it. So this was an album that I was not familiar with, but you know what? If you like Peter, Paul, and Mary, you're going to like this album too. What's on here? When the Ship Comes In, Jimmy Whalen, Come and Go With Me, Ballad of Spring Hill, Motherless Child, Wasn't That a Time, Monday Morning, The Cuckoo, San Francisco Bay Blues, Talkin' Candy Bar Blues, and For Lovin' Me. So just another great Peter, Paul, and Mary album. This next album was an album that my parents did not have either. See, I'm expanding. I went beyond what my parents had. They weren't true Peter, Paul, and Mary fans. I'm a true Peter, Paul, and Mary fan. Just kidding. This is See What Tomorrow Brings. And this came out in 1965. If I Were Free, Betty and Dupree, The Rising of the Moon, Early Morning Rain, Jane Jane, Because All Men Are Brothers, Hangman, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime, The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face, beautiful song, Trying to Win, On a Desert Island, With You in My Dreams, and The Last Thing on My Mind. Just another great album. They were just, like, every album by Peter, Paul, and Mary was just so good. And, you know, talking about folk music, talking about Peter, Paul, and Mary, and being a guitar player myself and a songwriter, I think if you can present a song with just a guitar and vocal, and you can move people with just a guitar and vocal, then you know it's a good song. Too many songs are hidden under like distortion and effects and vocal effects and you know, and in live settings, pyro and this and that. And again, I'm wearing a Kiss t-shirt, so you know, I understand. But sometimes it's nice to just come down to just the song. And that's what I think Peter, Paul, and Mary and a lot of the other folk artists as well, the singer-songwriters of the 70s, they could just take the song and literally have a guitar and sing it just with an acoustic guitar, and it moved you. And that was what was great about folk music, and is still great about folk music. It brought it down to the essence of the song. Now, this is when Peter, Paul, and Mary, these next couple albums, is when they started to expand their sound. They kind of started to move away from the straight folk presentation to, they had some more instrumentation. They were sort of experimenting with their sound. Excuse me, they were experimenting with arrangements. And the first album that started to do that was Peter, Paul, and Mary album. I think this is actually out of print. This is a hard one to find. This came out in 1966, I want to say. And I really like this album a lot. This has actually become one of my favorites. This has And When I Die on it, Sometime Lovin', Pack Up Your Sorrows, The King of Names, For Baby, Hurry Sundown, which I really like, The Other Side of This Life, The Good Times We Had, Kisses Sweeter Than Wine, which I really like, Normal Normal, which is a little strange. Normal Normal is strange? Yeah, it's a strange song. Cool though. Well, Well, Well. So an experimental album for Peter, Paul, and Mary, but still rooted in folk. Very cool album. If you like them and you haven't checked this album out, definitely listen to it. Now, this was an album that my parents had. 1967, album 1700. I remember them spinning this album a lot. I mean, this has Leaving on a Jet Plane on it. Of course, that was a John Denver song. I love John Denver, but I love Peter, Paul, and Mary's version of that. Weep for Jamie. The Great Mandela. I Dig Rock and Roll Music. Yes, that was their take on the whole Donovan sound. And I think they actually mentioned Donovan in the lyrics. If I Had Wings, I'm in Love with a Big Blue Frog. Bob Dylan's Dream, the song is Love. They were expanding their sound. But again, it was still rooted in that classic Peter, Paul, and Mary formula. So you do get some different arrangements, but then you still do get those beautiful harmonies and just the essence of songwriting. So another great album. The last Peter, Paul, and Mary album I'm going to show you, and again, they have a lot of other albums. These are just the ones that I have. This is an album that my parents did not have. I had never actually seen before, and I picked it up. I believe that this is out of print on CD as well. And this has become one of my favorite Peter, Paul, and Mary albums. This is an album called Late Again. And what year did this come out? 1968. Funny photo of them. This again was another, sort of expansion of their sound. Apologize, Moments of Soft Persuasion, Yesterday's Tomorrow, Too Much of Nothing. I remember that was on the Peter, Paul, and Mary Greatest Hits. Oh yeah, I have Greatest Hits on CD as well. Not here. There's Anger in the Land, Love City, She Dreams, Him, Tramp on the Street, I Shall Be Released, Reason to Believe, which I love. Reason to Believe is a beautiful song. Definitely check that song out if you've never heard it. Peter, Paul, and Mary, Reason to Believe. Rich Man, Poor Man is a cool song too. So definitely an underrated album by them. Not an album you hear that much of. It's not really mentioned a lot that I know of in the Peter, Paul, and Mary, album collection, but still a really good one, Late Again. Now, I told you we're talking a little bit about folk here, and I can't talk about Peter, Paul, and Mary and then not mention this album, A Mighty Wind. What a great soundtrack. What a great movie. Love it. This album and movie was, a funny take on the whole folk explosion. But the movie is amazing, and the music that was written for the movie is amazing. It's written in the folk vein, and I tell you what, this has one of my most favorite songs ever. It's a song called A Kiss at the End of the Rainbow, and it's performed by Mitch and Mickey. If you have never heard the song A Kiss at the End of the Rainbow, you've got to hear it. That song, it just gets me. And I'm being serious. It's a very, very emotional song. I got to listen to that tonight, actually. So if you like folk music, if you like Peter, Paul, and Mary, and you've never listened to A Mighty Wind, check it out. Watch the movie. Listen to a song, A Kiss at the End of the Rainbow. And again, if you are not moved by that, then there's something wrong with you. All right? So listen, that's my thing on Peter, Paul, and Mary. I do not have everything. I want to get more. I don't have anything on vinyl. I want to get some Peter, Paul, and Mary on vinyl, but I got it on CD, so that counts for something, right? Listen, enjoy the rest of your night. Stay safe and listen to music.